All right, let's get into it. I want you to picture a world made entirely out of digital blocks, kind of like a massive, never-ending Lego city, a place where art and music and community all just slammed together on the blockchain. This is the story of an indie metaverse, a real pioneer in digital ownership, and the amazing culture that blossomed inside its pixelated walls. So check this out. It's a Thursday night, March 7th, 2024. A bot, of all things, a digital historian named Womtron. It saves this moment forever. And the message? It's simple. The party is awesome, the vibes are perfect, and in this little corner of the internet, it feels like it's never, ever gonna stop. That was the heartbeat of a world called crypto voxels. But that's the big question, isn't it? What really happens when the music starts to fade, when the crowds get smaller, and all that hype that was fueling this nonstop party just evaporates? To get that, we've got to go back and see how this whole world was built from the ground up. Okay, so where did all this come from? Let's pull back from the party for a second and take a look at the actual foundation of this digital world. So what was crypto voxels, or just voxels, as they called it later? Well, it was a virtual world you could access right from your browser, launched way back in 2018. But here's the absolute key. It was built on the Ethereum blockchain, and that meant every single plot of land, every piece of art, every wild building you can imagine, it was an NFT that you, the user, actually truly owned. And this, right here, this was the promise that got people so excited. This wasn't some corporate-owned playground. No, this was about true digital ownership. It was permissionless, meaning if you owned a spot, you could build literally anything you wanted. And, maybe most important, it was so easy to get into. No clunky downloads, no pricey headset needed. It was a genuine, artist-first indie world. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got voxels, decentralized, owned by its users, with this kind of raw, organic, indie vibe. Anyone with a web browser could be there in seconds. On the other side, you've got the big corporate model, totally centralized, owned by the company, and often you need specific, expensive gear just to get in the door. We're talking two completely different visions for what our digital future could look like. So, that's the world. Now, let's meet the people who filled that world with life, and specifically with music. And lucky for us, we have a very unique guide for this part of the journey. Everybody, meet Womtron. This little bot was our eyes and ears, just tirelessly snapping these things called womps, think of them like digital Polaroids, and saving them. It was creating this public, real-time history of everything. The parties, the art shows, even the quiet moments. It gives us this incredible window into what life was actually like in this world. And man, what a life it was. The music scene was just electric. You had stuff like the Voxels R&B Bash, thrown by Idris Busari from Rescue Records. I mean, he pulled in over 100 people for his metaverse launch party. Then you had the Afrodroids rave, hosted by DJ Shark Anthony, a full-on techno party inside a virtual lab. Not to mention huge events like the Metaverse Music Video Festival. This wasn't just a gimmick, it was a real, thriving culture. And you can just feel the energy and how they promoted this stuff. This is from Idris Busari, also known as Rescuer Ranjez, hyping up his label's launch. It's so personal, so community-driven. He's talking about a collaborator dropping virtual gifts, telling everyone to show up in their best digital outfits, their wearable combo. It just perfectly captures that grassroots, we built this together spirit. And a lot of these parties, they had a real purpose. Take the Afrodroids Lab. This place wasn't just some virtual club. No, it was the main hub for this amazing Afrofuturism NFT project. The raves that Shark Anthony hosted there weren't just about the music. They were actually raising money for the Dreamcatchers Academy, a charity for young girls in Nigeria. The virtual world was having a direct, real-world impact. But you know how it goes. Just as this awesome indie culture was really finding its groove, the outside world came crashing in. That massive hype train that had been lifting up every crypto project was, well, about to go completely off the rails. I mean, this timeline tells the whole dramatic story. It launches in 2018, rides that massive crypto wave to a peak in 2021, making over $22 million in revenue. Just wild. But then, 2022 happens. The crypto winter hits hard, and everything just goes into reverse. It all leads to the founder, Ben Nolan, announcing that he's planning to step away. And here's a number that makes the challenge just crystal clear. To keep this digital world running, just the servers, the maintenance, the basics, it cost about $1 million a year. So when all that revenue from people buying land just vanished after the crash, that $1 million number started to look like a giant, impossible problem. The fallout was fast and brutal. Digital land that folks had paid top dollar for was suddenly worth almost nothing. The daily user count, which used to be a buzzing crowd, just dwindled. And for the founder who had basically built this thing from scratch by himself, the financial stress on top of years of hard work, it just led to burnout. The very existence of voxels was on the line. So, after the boom, the bust, and the burnout, what's actually left? What happens to a digital world when all the tourists go home and it's just the locals who remain? You know, I think this quote from Rescue on Jaws is just so powerful. He posted this on New Year's Day 2026, long after the crash. He logs into his virtual plot of land and finds, well, he finds normalcy. He finds resilience. For the community that decided to stay, the world they built was still there. It was still their home, just waiting for whatever came next. And what about those pioneers? Well, they moved on, but they definitely didn't disappear. Idris Abasari is still in Web3, pushing his music label and new NFT projects. Shark Anthony took his talents to a major crypto exchange, OKX. And the founder, Ben Nolan, he's hoping that the community he helped create can take over and keep the world going. Their journeys all evolved, but they were absolutely shaped by their time in voxels. Which kind of leaves us with this one big question to chew on. What's a digital world really worth? Is it the crazy price of its virtual land during a market frenzy? Or is it the communities that were built there, the art that was made, the connections people formed? The story of Voxel seems to suggest that the real value isn't found in the boom, but in what's still standing after the echo fades away.